Hey guys, welcome to the protocol. The protocol is a conversation we're going to have about the sequence of events you have in your life, about your finances, about your tax affairs, and how do you prosper. It's been 30 years we have been looking after doctors, 30 years doing this good, great conversation. For those of you that are just graduating, coming out of university right now, just your first year out, welcome, welcome. For those of you that are seasoned doctors, that are already looking towards retirement, looking after the next generation, you will find some real gems and pearls. This presentation is designed to make in your mind the connections you need to make your numbers work for you, not against you. So all of you that are arriving right now, please turn on your cameras. We want to say hi to you. Welcome, Perth. I know it's early for you over there. Welcome, Melbourne. Welcome. I want to welcome Adelaide. I want to welcome Sydney, Gold Coast, Sunshine Coast, Brisbane, and all the small towns throughout Australia. It is so good that you're here today. Now, there is still time for you to just give your accountant a tingle and say, hey, come and join Medigrow. Guys, we work with accountants across Australia. For 30 years, we have written strategies with the best of accountants, financial planners, bank managers across this country. My purpose is to help doctors to maximize the efficiency of their time, their money, and their lifestyle. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Now, I want to take you through a sequence of slides in which we will, right, go through all you need to know. I want to introduce to you the equivalent of 200 hours worth of reading. Yes, you heard me right. You will, by spending this morning with me, you will have the equivalent of 200 hours worth of reading in less than 2 hours. That is my promise to you. How do I know that? It's because we have been delivering incredible strategies for doctors across Australia. We save millions of dollars a year in taxation alone. We save also millions in inefficient loans. But the truth is, I get to know many doctors personally. It's been 30 years doing this. So may I just go somewhere a bit just so we can set up a conversation, a tone for this morning. You don't want to be in your bed at the point of your death and have the following complaints. You know what I'm talking about. We know that most humans, when they're about to leave the planet, these are the conversations. What do you regret? Not living a life true to myself. Wishing they hadn't worked so hard. I know how hard you guys work. So my job from now on is to start working with you so that you work as hard as you want, but every day you go to work, your assets are growing, your taxation is minimizing, and the truth is you have other options, you have leverage. So then you, all right, have time to spend with your family. What people say in the moment of death, I didn't have an opportunity to express my feelings. Why? I was so hardworking all the time. And for us to imagine that doctors, more than most of other professions, are hard worker, and these regrets in life, I see them, I read them, and I think the purpose of Medigrow is to get underneath it all and to give you a rise so these things don't become part of your life. Wishing you had stayed in touch with friends. Didn't have the time, Julio. My patients needed me. My patients needed me. I was busy all the time. I didn't see my kids growing up. I didn't see this. I was all the time inside of my head. And I'll tell you right now, the illusion, and I'll say it once again, the illusion of a higher income ain't going to deliver wealth for you. And we're going to go there today. I've been working with doctors for a long time. And what actually happens is this. You get addicted to debt and a high income. And it's true that you have a better income than most of the populations. But wealth and lifestyle are very different things. We have dedicated our lives to make sure that one thing's one thing, another thing's another thing. Our mission is to raise in real terms the financial intelligence and its application to the medical community. For all the dentists that are here with us today, all these conversations apply to you as well, to the nurses that are here with us today. Welcome, 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 right? Now, for those of you that are meeting me for the first time, let me just tell you this. I was invited to speak at Parliament about the future of the Australian economy. The conversation went so well, that they invited me 3 times, not once, but 3 times I addressed the Parliament in New South Wales about the future of the Australian economy. Let me just play a little bit of that for you now. The whole conversation about being here this morning is very simple. Could you imagine what happened, and I'm going to talk some more about this, to Uber and the taxi industry, what happened to the accountants? Because it was like, there was no Uber, and then there was Uber, and then no one took notice, and then there was no more taxis. Well, they're still there, right? They're still there. But what was the value of a tax plate, right, before Uber came along? It's $500,000 for a license. What's the value of it tonight? These are incredible conversations. And we are working with accountants across Australia, not about accounting in the future, but accounting in the future of the future in the now. I want you to imagine, right, a software that has the ability to look at 100,000 data points simultaneously. And that's not in the future. We have it tonight. It will be exactly what I have just described. Analyze the traffic of financial data, predict the best route, call all the inefficiencies, and put forward appropriate adjustments. While doing it all, it will create the entire file notes, help the humans with the strategy, and guess what? Never print an uncompliant plan. What about that? One of the things that I want you to know is that at that presentation, I delivered that doctors should pay no tax. Be clear. I understand I get mocked when I say things like this. I believe truly in my core that doctors should not pay any tax at all. Why? Think about it. The doctors are the front line of the economy. If John Smith is not working, he goes sees his doctor. His doctor fixes him. He becomes again an active component of the economy. Now, Mary Smith's child is sick. Mary takes the child to the... No one thinks in those terms. Every single time that a doctor goes to work, the economy is activated, right? We need to think in those senses. When we have doctors that are overworked, and most people make a huge confusion between such high income, right? He's a doctor, she's a doctor, such high income. What people don't stop to think about is you took a long, long time to graduate. Not only that, you have to be present to listeners. You have to be present to your patients, present to the notes, present to being sued tomorrow. It is a tough, tough game. And I am very clear that most doctors get penalized. Get this. If you compare a doctor to a small business, you will find many doctors pay more tax than a small business in Australia. I don't think that is right, right? So I have vowed to build conversations with doctors across Australia so that it's not just about the hourly rate, it's about the legacy. It's about being able to take a year off if you wanted to, being able to change, to become an investor, better conversations, and away we go. But again, who am I? I want you to know that this conversation I've been having with doctors, high-end, I'm going to tell you now, sometimes people have high income and everybody thinks it's rosy. It isn't. This work has landed me to be cover of CEO magazine, right? Why do I say this to you? It's because of this interface, because of this partnership in helping people that help others. Listen, in helping people that help others so that the inefficiencies go, we come to you as a fully integrated Medigrow this morning. So now I was also invited by the Australian media I am also the entrepreneur who took 100 entrepreneurs to Antarctica. And if you follow me, you will know that we do trips throughout the world. Now we have also done trips with doctors and doctors alone. AI is here, high computing is here. The world is changing. I don't believe that AI is going to take you away. What's going to take you away is doctors using AI when you are not. And what you're going to find is the legacy of my life is to predict the future, help people to achieve it, and get there. Let me just play for you some more of the other videos now.
Welcome back, Giulio Delafitte, who is the founder of the entrepreneurial movement called the Unstoppables. Now, when I first met Giulio last year, he was in the planning stage of his expedition to Antarctica, along with the other 120 or so entrepreneurs he was taking with him. So tonight he's going to share how the experience actually stacked up and why he's preparing to do it again. Nothing like an expedition to really ignite the entrepreneurial spirit and drive new business ideas. A big task, a big ask,
yes,
Giulio.
Heidi. Yeah, it was amazing. Heidi's like an incredible, one of the best experiences of my life. You imagine 110 people on a boat, 70% of them are personality A. They know better.
Yeah.
And then the facilitators are coming together and asking questions to bring out what are we supposed to do with the future of Australia.
This is just to impress upon you that what you're going to learn from me today, it is meant to hit a target, and that target is your inefficiency. I can see some people arriving now. Welcome, welcome. Hey, all of you that are arriving right now, thank you so much. We have invited your accountant. So for those of you that are here for the first time, welcome to Medigrow. We're already up and going, and so take your seat, get your pens, take some notes. What I was just saying is the core of this presentation today is as follows. Never again, you're not going to know where your inefficiencies are. I am going to show you some of the artificial intelligence we have developed. So for those of you that follow us, you will know that not long ago, a week or so ago, we were recognized by Amazon in Australia as one of the most advanced artificial intelligence in this sector. Not only that, last year, I was a keynote speaker in Sydney for medical health tech. The conversation is designed for you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And after meeting us for a little bit more, you can go into YouTube, and there's a ton of content in there to get you going, right, in this conversation of ours. I have written books about accountants, dealing with doctors, and you have access to all of it. So guys, welcome. Let me tell you what we're going to deliver today. The conversation for today is as follows. Learn how to pay off your mortgage years earlier. If you have personal debt, today you're going to learn the cost of that personal debt. I want you to know how to achieve financial independence, on how to build a portfolio for early retirement. It is my life that many doctors arrive here in the late 40s, early 50s, and they still have debt in their own home. That happens a lot. Sometimes they have paid the house off, but they do not have enough to retire. That ends today. That ends today. And sometimes some people are here and they want to learn more ways to leverage, and away we go. So how to minimize your tax legally and how to do it perpetually. We're going to deliver that today. Build your financial life, your real estate portfolio, your opportunity beyond what you are doing right now. Now, one of the things that I want you to know is this. I own over 100 houses. What? Why am I saying this? Well, because I'm an immigrant. I arrived here without a word of English. I did not know anyone. So when I got here, I got 2 jobs. I married, I bought my first house, I bought my second house. And what is it to do with anything? If you are going to stick your guns with me, we are pro-property. We are pro-debt reduction. We are pro-tax minimization. The whole ideation is this. While you're working and paying so much tax, I am going to use that tax you're paying out to bring it back, so you buy houses with it. That's where this is going to go. If this is not what you want, then I want you to know this. The philosophy called Medigrow is as follows: houses that buy houses, houses that buy everything else. And we're going to build it so that you get clarity that all the tax that you are paying out will come back to you as houses. And what happens then is this. Let's so imagine a possibility that you had your house paid for, a couple of investment properties paid for, and suddenly a business opportunity comes up. Or suddenly you need to send one of your kids to study overseas. Do you think it's you who's going to pay for it? No, it's not you. It's your assets and your structure. So the richer you become, the more capable you become. And a wealthy nation needs wealthy individuals. So from the top, I meet a lot of doctors. Hear me out. I meet a lot of doctors that make good money, but they have got to go to work. After they become my clients, they become doctors that make a lot of money, but they have a lot of assets. If they don't go to work, it may not matter so much. Do you understand now? So when I say to you that I come from the beginning, just another immigrant, been doing this now for 30 years, doing this very thing. And it's been such a journey. It's been such a pleasure to do that. So you learn how to finance your projects and dreams from the assets you have, how to educate your children. Any university in the world you want to put your child in, my job is to get you to have that child's education paid, not out of your salary. That's what we're looking at. Have a life. Please have a life. I see so many people having the conversations that are so technical all the time. I want you to go sailing. I want you to go snowboarding. I want you to have a life. I would love you to take 2 months off, 3 months off, and things are taken care of. I promise you, these are the conversations we're having more and more in Medigrow, helping people to enjoy, reconnect with all about. As a matter of fact, I want to share with you right now, that I said to a doctor friend of mine, totally disconnected. He became my client, became my friend, totally disconnected, right, to family members, on the side to a particular brother, and down to a particular child. And I said, what are you going to do about it? He's like, oh, what can I do about it? You can afford to do much about it. And it's all about the quality of time. Ladies and gentlemen, my job is to transform cash into life opportunities. And life opportunity is not just about business, it's about life itself. So let's go. Let's get this done. Okay, guys, the synchronization. What I'm going to give you right now is many, many books on wealth creation and the protocols, especially for those of you that already have a mortgage, or even better, those of you that are just starting out. You were a dentist, just started 2 years ago, and now you're starting to feel you're making a little bit of more money. Or you are a doctor, and now you feel, oh my God, man, I worked so hard. Money is starting to become better now. Look, here is the integration process. It's extremely straightforward, but if you were to synthesize a whole book, this is how you synthesize it, right? Asset growing, that's what's all about. Every year, you need to have a particular day of the year. For me, that particular day is the 7th of August. Why? The birth of my first child. So on the first, my first child came on the 7th of August. That's when I got all right, I got to be serious now. I got a dependent, a descendant, right? So the 7th of August, I asked myself a very straightforward question. Am I richer than last year? In the beginning, when I was naive and young, I thought about money only. But now it's not about that. It's about much more. Am I richer this year than last year? Financially, in experiences, spiritually, whatever it is that floats your boat. Are you richer than the last year? Yes or no? It's a very simple conversation, right? So the blue represents the assets, the growth of your house portfolio, share portfolio, crypto portfolio, opportunities. Are you asset-wise richer than last year? Yes or no? If so, keep doing it, what you're doing. Our strategies are working. You know it's working. And what you're going to find, and the reason why I keep asking you, invite your accountant, is because you will have a wow. When you have a look at the software we have developed, which is designed for you to speak with your accountant intelligently all the time, no more not knowing. Question asked, are you richer than last year? If you have a look at the book I wrote, it's called Is Your Accountant an Idiot? It's not a statement, it's a question. Why would I write such a book? Because I'm sick of people having the wrong conversations. Your accountant is no idiot at all. And yet, the conversations every year. Let me explain to you how it goes for you driving to see your accountant. This is how it goes. You are driving, you're slightly late, right? You're driving to traffic, you're trying to get there for your tax planning meeting. When you get there, you know that you have all those questions. You didn't write it down, and you kind of remember, don't remember, and you kind of hope for the best. You spend the bulk of that time talking about the past, the bulk of it, talking about the past. You want to talk a little bit about the future? Then you understand that your past and present is compliant, but your wealth creation conversation does not take place. And that's why I wrote that book. But don't worry, if you're here with me, I'm going to give you some amazing continuity plugs for the bits in your mind that are disconnected that will connect today. So, are you increasing your assets? Now, equally, you will see on the other side of the slide here, tax minimization. Tax minimization is your right as a resident, as a citizen of Australia. Tax minimization is nothing dodgy, nothing weird. There's no need for that. And truth is, this country has given us so much tax dispensation that if you invest, you will get some tax back. Give you a simple example. We already know that the Australian government wants to grow, flourish our movie producing industry. You know, they want more other companies, American companies, to come to Australia. So if you look at that, you will find that there's an incredible amount of tax backs if you invest in movies. My commentary now is not that it's a good investment. My commentary right now is that the government will always give you tax dispensations where they want the money to go. Oh. Now, we also have a housing shortage. More of that in a moment. So, tax minimization is your right as a citizen. So that's why we developed the software, and that's why I keep saying to you, ask your accountant to come to this presentation. Because once you understand the protocol, once you understand how it works and how it links, you will see your assets grow, you see your tax coming down. And the tax that you did not pay, so let's just say that your new strategy saved you $30,000 in tax, right? If you get that 30 grand and put straight into your mortgage, that 30 grand goes off the principal, clears the principal 30 grand. You're way ahead of what you would be otherwise. The truth is, those things compound. So in conclusion, your assets need to grow, your tax needs to be diminished, and your debt needs to be diminished. Every doctor that I have met say to me, I know a good broker. I couldn't care less about a good broker. Couldn't care less. I want to meet an excellent broker. And the difference is this. A good broker always can get you the money. An excellent broker will get you strategies to get rid of that debt. And we're going to cover a lot of that today. So guys, now let's welcome to Australia. Welcome to the conversations that are happening. I want to give you some of the protocol here so you understand exactly what we see. The pain and the state of play. There is a reason why we say the pain. Here's what I already mentioned, and we're going to go a bit more in detail now. What are we seeing? That we see it all the time is most doctors have a sense of security because they have a high income. Hear my words. I make good money. I'll be okay. I can just work a little harder and I'll be okay. Hmm. Hmm. What happens if something happens to you? All my insurance kick in. Okay. What I'm trying to say to you is this. There is so much inefficiency in the taxes that you pay that if we can get some of the tax back to minimize your debt, you'll be debt free way sooner. And if we do it right, you're going to have a bunch of other houses and a bunch of other opportunities later in life. What you're going to learn from me today is we're going to map today two visions of you, one that does have this strategy and one that doesn't. But what happens now is the three main reasons why Medigrow exists. Doctors are time poor. So I'm so thankful that you are here. Once again, thank you for this morning. Thank you for your time. I understand how hard this is for you to take time out of your busy life to be here, and I appreciate it, right? Therefore, find harder to invest well and access the best strategies for end debt reduction. The truth is, in Medigrow, we created a community. You will meet other doctors. You meet other people just like yourself that are growing their wealth strategically rather than sheer labor, right? Doctors and specialists are penalized by the tax systems who sees them as easy and secure targets. I don't like it. Number three is doctors and specialists often pay more tax than many small businesses. I made those comments before. And for all the dentists that are coming here now for the first time, welcome, welcome, welcome. For the nurses that are here also for the first time, doctors that are here for the first time, welcome. That's where the conversation is going to go. Now, this is so we establish the baseline. Now, health professionals, they work way too hard. We know that. They have a greater income, and we're saying this, and that greater income is the illusion. Why? Because you see, money often speaks, and what it says is goodbye. If you knew that we have thousands of professionals that come through, and once they go into the wealth goal, and they put the numbers in there, and they see how much money they burn every week, you need to see their eyes. You need to see what happens. And often they look to their accountant as if their accountant will be responsible. Your accountant's not responsible for your inefficiencies. Your accountant can perhaps help you with some of the inefficiencies, but some of it. Today, as I promised, the equivalent of 200 hours worth of reading. 200 hours, I promise you, right? So, have a great income than the general population and never get out of their mortgage. I don't want it. I don't want you to be 50 years old and still have a mortgage. If that's the case, we need to move on it. I want you debt-free, personally debt-free, ASAP. And there are plenty of strategies to do so, okay? Start earning a lot more at a later age, right? Highly intelligent people, but don't have the time to put the attention on the things that we're going to put attention on today. So that's why this course exists, right? Huge level of inefficiencies. Can I just be blunt with you and say to you, do you know why most banks across the board, give doctors a cheaper interest rate? Most people think it's because they're doctors and they get a special attention. No. It's because any bank knows that doctors are compliant. Because when you go out of compliance, people die. So the way you do one thing is the way you do anything. So what happens is this: when banks lend money to doctors, they know that the bulk of it will be paid for. It's very little as a percentage of doctors that don't pay. Therefore, you want to build a substantial loan book, lend to doctors. What's it to do with this conversation? Simple. If you knew how many times we found better deals, often doctors come to us and they say things like, oh, my bank. It's not your bank. If it was your bank, you wouldn't be asking for the money, you just take it. The very fact that you have to ask and apply for the money, that means it's not your bank. And I want to say this to you. I heard another guy, right, came in, him and his wife, they being both doctors. And at that moment, he is another guy, listen to me, applying for money, okay? I had a conversation that went like this. Banks do not lend money. They sell money. Ooh. So sometimes I may even come across a bit aggressive, and that's not my intention. But you can see I actually get angry. Why? Because doctors are busy. They don't have the daily time to be researching this, researching that. They trust. And then the person who's going to source the money for them, just get them a loan. No. It has to come with a debt reduction strategy. And I promise you, that's what we're going to cover. So some of the basics now of an approach and the reason why for decades things stays the same. So the truth is, if you're on 100 grand a year, you spend 100 grand a year. If you're on 200 grand a year, you spend 200 grand a year. If you're on $500,000, you spend $500,000. Why? Because as your income increases, so does your mortgage, your school fees, etc., etc. So it's like a merry-go-round, a rat race, on and on and on and on. Why? Because the model that you are using is totally reliant on a higher income. What I want to do is to get you to have a look at the inefficiencies, the tax that you know you're going to pay, and look at the systems, the protocols to bring it back as debt reduction, right? I want to convert the time that you work, the money that you make into time that you work, or the time you work into money. So the truth is, if I get all the money that you generated, and all the tax that you paid, yep, and I then convert it into time, it looks like this. So January, February, March, April, and maybe half of May, you worked for the government. Yeah, that's the size of your tax bill. Just get present, right? Now, there's nothing wrong with that. The government makes the laws. And what I said to you before is that tax planning is your right as a citizen. What's the quality of the conversation you're having with your accountant? There are good accountants. There are excellent accountants. The truth is, if you're not talking to your accountant about wealth creation, please understand what this is a distinction. It is a very obvious distinction. It's a distinction that most people don't make. If I say to you, John is a doctor. Okay, John's a doctor. He knows everything about doctoring. But if John is a specialist on knees, and knees only is all he does, and you come to John with an ear inflammation, he will remember. He will know some of the basics. He will know some of the stuff and be able to kind of remember or know somebody he can call. But you know, the same goes for accountants. You have a brilliant accountant. If your accountant's not about wealth creation, you're getting great compliance, you get great tax minimization, you get great conversations, and when it comes together. So to drive this point further, or coming together is this. From an efficiency perspective, right? What was the return to you personally on the $108,000 you paid in tax last year? What was it, right? It's zero. To you personally, it's zero. Now, I've been saying all along, I am not against tax. But I'll tell you what, I'm also not in favor of false promises. Like right now, the government is talking about tax reform. And you know what they're saying? More tax. It's fascinating. When they introduced GST some time ago now, they promised us they would take away all these different taxes. Well, GST came and all the other taxes stayed. A couple of tiny ones went, right? So there is no loopholes left. Or you invest in order to minimize your tax, and you invest intelligently to get some of your tax back and drive your debt down, or you're not. So I'm talking about your personal return. I get it. There's roads and hospitals and ambulances and all the different things, police and army that is funded by our taxes. But tax minimization is your right as a citizen. Now, it is dangerous when you are addicted to a debt and playing a zero-sum game. Let me explain what I mean here. Dr. Elizabeth came to see us 2 weeks ago, and I'm just going to rattle the numbers, see if you recognize them, okay? She's a radiologist. She is on $600,000 a year. She has a property worth $2.4 million zero debt. She has $1.4 million in her super, and that's it. What? You heard me. Her kids are highly educated. We ran the software by her. We gave her the software you're going to get in a moment, right? And all that, let me tell you this. What about you finding out? And we have another case. I'm going to go into the numbers, details of the numbers, right? In a moment, in the case study here. This doesn't end. It comes all the time. What if she's running out of money after the so-called retirement in less than a decade? How would you feel? Is that you? I don't want you to find that out 3 years out, 3 years before retirement. I want you to find out today. And if inefficiencies is part of your conversation, let's take it out now. So guys, I am now changing gears. I hope you're with me. Away we go. We keep going. What I want to do right now is I want to talk to you about Dr. Matthew that came to see me, and I want you to have a look at the numbers right now. Every single time that a doctor shows up and tells us this story, okay, there's a story. We are straight away seeking the numbers in that story, right? So Matthew shows up. He's 42 years of age. It's a $300,000 income, right? So in that conversation, we realize that he's working now part-time. He's a skin doctor, right? He has flexibility, just had a second child. And now he's working 4 days a week or so, and he's pulling in 300 grand a year. Okay. Has a house worth $2.1 million and a mortgage of $1 million. And then he tells us that he has $600,000 accumulated in super and shares. When the doctors show up and he says he already has a share portfolio and he is contributing to super, you know that he's having, strategic conversations. But he's feeling good. 300 grand, enough to keep his lifestyle. His wife is working a little, right? He's feeling good. But for my team, alarm bells, full-on alarming bells with this $1 million debt against his house. And I want to take you there. So guys, the next 6 minutes or 7 minutes or so is the equivalent of you going to a library, picking up 4 or 5 books on debt reduction, how to pay your mortgage faster. And I'm going to give it to you in the next 6 or 8 minutes, just only a few slides. Why? Because I want you to be able to explain this to somebody tonight. The best way I can do this is to break it down. So I want you to imagine that your house was paid for, and you want a swimming pool. The reason why I say your house is paid for, because I imagine you in a situation where you had zero debt, right? I just want to make the frame small first. Matthew comes over here, has $1 million of debt against his house. I'm breaking it for you. So from now on, tonight, you can have dinner with somebody and explain this to somebody else. And if you had not had this conversation with your accountant, you start to realize the integration I'm telling you about. Because your accountant's not about getting you out of debt. You ought to be about you getting out of debt. Well, without further ado, let's go. Real insight about personal debt. What is it doing to you, and real understanding of your possible, reality. Let's go. So, you borrowed $100,000 for a swimming pool, okay? House paid for, you went to the backyard. You know what, I'm gonna put a pool here. You call the builder, the architect, the engineer. They said, hey, with all the permits and all the retaining walls and everything else you need, 100 grand. Now you have $100,000 in your visor, right? A big $100,000. Then you go to the bank and the bank says to you, all right, listen, 25 years mortgage at 6%. Yep, I can lend you $100,000 for $644.30. Please stay with me. You want to upgrade your debt by 100 grand. You know you have great income, so you go to the bank. The language in your head is, I will borrow money from the bank at an interest. But what is actually happening is you have high income and you are a doctor, so you know you're not going to default. So you're going to get a special rate and you're going to feel good about that. But the truth is, everything being equal, you're addicted to debt. Why? Because you can always work a little harder, right? And you work so hard already. That's my point. Human to human, person to person. right? So what happens now, we are going to look into the numbers, okay? We're going to look into the numbers. So imagine now that Johnny at the bank types it in 25 years at 6%, $644. The moment you hear that number, $644, you heard it. Notice that you won't pull a calculator out. There's no spreadsheet coming out. It's just a feeling. Hold on a second. $644 a month. And if you have married, you look at your spouse, 644, yeah, we can do it. It's a feeling. So now most financial institutions want you to pay attention to the monthly fee. And that's how you financed your house, your car, the school fees. It's only those small amounts per month. I want to zero in on this now like never before. Have a look at the 644, right? The $644, right? The truth is, you borrowed 100 grand, you will pay back the bank 193,000. By law, every financial institution have to tell you what the cost of the entire loan is, principal plus interest. But no one looks. Most people will look only to the monthly repayment. And because you have such a great income, right, all this get highly confused. Because you have such a great income, inefficiencies is like, oh, okay, I can afford $644. Well, let's have a look at this then, for what really is going on. In the first year, you pay back $7,732. But if you were to walk into the bank at the end of the first year and say, hey, how much am I good for? Well, you're good for $1,780. Yeah, that's right. You only reduced your debt by $1,700. If you keep going at this, 5 years later, you pay the bank $38,000, but you only reduced your debt by $10,000. 10 years later, you're starting to get the pattern here, right? Let's go all the way down, then we come back. You got it now, right? That by the end of 25 years, you paid back $193,000 for your 100 grand. However, check this out. Let's just say you go back to year 10 and you walk into the bank and you say, hey, I already paid you guys a chunk of money. How much am I good for? Oh, well, you only paid off the bill $23,000. So, well, hold on a second. What's going on? Now you're going to learn two new words. Interest, component. I'm going to put those two things together. Because you see, you have the principal. So when they give you the monthly repayment of $644, yep. In the agreement you signed, it says this, in the first 10 years, the bulk of the money you were paying, is going into the interest component. You're not paying much of the principal. So let me give you dollar per dollar. So you get $1, yeah? 30 cents goes to the government. Oh, okay. 70 cents to stay for you. If you throw that 70 cents into the debt machine, get clear. 61 cents is going to the interest component, 9 cents into the principal for the first 10 years. After 10 years, when you're now de-risked, in other words, when the bank sold you the money, in the first 10 years, they will charge you most of the interest because they're trying to recover their risk in agreement. But what you are unaware of is as follows. Remember when I showed you a moment ago that doctors match their income to their expenses? And I was just a passing comment? I wish it was just a passing comment. I want you to notice, what do people do after being in their own home for 10 years? You tell me what they do. Now write down in a comment right now. You just go ahead, write in a comment. What do you reckon? You bought a house 10 years ago, or you know people that bought a house 10 years ago. What do they do after living in a house for 10 years? Yeah, they will renovate, they will sell, and buy a bigger one. Be clear. It's not that a wife is going to come to her husband, the husband's coming to his wife and say, hello, honey, you make a lot more money. That's right. Remember the hypnosis? we must match our income to our expenses. You make so much more money now, let's buy a bigger house. Well, isn't that what everybody does, Julio? No, not all of us. There's ways of thinking that makes a lot more sense. Point being here is this: you will sell your house after being in it for 10 years. When you're just about to clear the interest component phase and start to go into principal, you sell that house and you buy a new one with a brand new mortgage. And where are you on that mortgage? You're zero. You get what I am saying? That's why I'm not interested in good brokers. I could care less about good brokers. I want deadly brokers. I want brokers that will take your debt out. I speak with this with such a passion because I see so much inefficiency. Now, it's going to get worse, okay? Just stay with me a little longer. It's going to get worse, okay? So my life is very similar to your life as far as systems are concerned. So for example, if I was to arrive at your clinic right now and you say to me, hey, let me take your blood pressure. You know so much about me, but one test. You know so much about me already, right there and then. So for me, when you show up, I want to know, hey, let me know about your debt. I know so much more about your future, if your debt has debt reduction strategy or not, if you have tax planning or not. I hope the analogy makes sense. Now, it gets worse, all right? What? Well, you must earn $298,000. Yep. To have the $193,000 you owe the bank. Let me do it back to front to back, so you really get this. You borrowed 100 grand, yep? You'll pay back 193,000. Yep. Well, to have $193,000 in your pocket, you must earn 298, and because you earn 298, you paid 104. So you pay $104,000 in tax because you borrowed 100 grand. This is the conversation. This is the conversation, right? So you got Matthew in my office telling me that he has a mortgage for $1 million, right? So guys, I want you to be very clear. Multiply these numbers. If you are Matthew and you know he has $1 million, he sits with one of our client managers, with one of our strategists, with our broker. If he tells me he's 42 years of age, yep, and he has $1 million worth of debt, all I got to do is multiply these numbers times 10. Now, you that are at home, you still have $400,000 worth of mortgage in your house, well, multiply these numbers times 4. What do I know about you? So back with Matthew, Matthew has to earn $2.9 million. Yeah, to pay the rest of his mortgage off. No, you heard me right. So debt has got to go. Now, this is if you have a good accountant. Because you see, what are the tax rates for doctors? 37, 45 cents in the dollar. Well, where are we sitting, right? So what I'm trying to say to you now is the arrows I put up before. Am I richer than last year? If you're addicted to income, you bought a house, nice house, you're paying it off, and that house is going up in value. Okay. What if you had a strategy to clear the debt on that house very fast? What if you could have other houses? And that's where we are going. And I hope that makes sense. So tax minimization is a must and is your right as a citizen. So we're clear about need for tax planning and debt reduction. Okay. When do you pay for your mortgage? Matthew must earn $2.981 million to pay $1 million in $1,048,000 to have $1,932,000 in tax to repay his $1 million mortgage. And when he first started the interview with us, he really thought that the numbers were way better. That has got to go. That has got to go. Let this sink in. Now, of course, this is kind of a wake-up call. Do not distress. We've been doing this for a long time. This is what we do. This is our bread and water, is to get doctors out of debt, get doctors investing, and getting things happening, right? You're going to learn how to have others pay for your debt. What about that? How good would that be, right? So our mission is this, that you know your numbers, tax minimization and investing. So guys, this is what's happening so far. It's a great introduction, it's a great piece, and here is debt, how debt operates. Money do not get lent, money gets sold. All the loans you have right now, you have got to be aggressive with your debt reduction. So if you learn nothing from me today, or this is it, you have to go, I will say this to you, never do what the banks tell you to do. If the banks told you to pay $644, pay them $1,000. Always pay more than what they asked. Why? Because the extra repayments go straight into the principal component and will shave. Now, shave the life of that loan, shave years off, always pay more. Now, before this presentation is over, I am going to teach you a debt reduction strategy. It's going to blow your mind. And I mean to do that, to blow your mind. So guys, I'm going to change gears again. I'm going to go to another pillar of our conversation, and then I'm going to keep synchronizing and putting it all together. I would really appreciate if you could give us feedback, if you are enjoying this so far. For those of you, your cameras are closed, please open the cameras. We can say hi to you here this morning. And also, let me say this. Thank you for sticking with me, right? If your partner is available and not here with us, ask him, ask her to join us, because this conversation is going to go places now. Now, I'm talking to you about finances. I'm now going to change the focus a little, and I'm going to talk to you about this country, this island of ours called Australia, all right? I started saying to you a number of houses that I possess is because I have some insights, and I want you to have the same insights. And here we go. We're living in one of the youngest countries in the world. It's a bit of a dystopia. Yes, Australia is not perfect. Yes, Australia has its problems. But compared to the rest of the world, you are in the best country in the world, but you can't see it if you don't see it. So for example, let me give you another analogy. What's your strategy for wealth creation? If you don't have one, you can't act on it. You can't see it. So let me just give you some obvious pieces. And sometimes what I'm going to say, it's not news to you. You already know it, but you just haven't made it, right? A synchronization so it benefits your family. So here we go. We know that we are not having enough babies. We know we can't replace. The number of babies coming through right now does not replace the number of Australians. So the truth is, if we do not import people, all these dynamics in politics and polemics about how many people are coming, people that are not coming, the pressures and all, it's a tough catch-22. If we don't import enough people, it's just a matter of time and our economy will implode. Why? There's not enough people to do what needs to be done, right? So every aspect of Australia life needs more people. We need more carpenters, we need more teachers, we need more doctors, we need more nurses. Why? It's a young nation. It's growing. So we already know that Australia population to reach 30 million in 11 to 15 years. Now, when I got to Australia, when I got here in 1988, Australia was sitting at around 17.5 million, 18 million people. Between then and now, look how much wealth got created in the last 30 years. Because we are a young nation, when you look at stats like this, our policies for immigration, as much as there's a bunch of debates, the truth is some of the best come here, people that are already highly educated, they come here and they're ready to go. They want to build a family, they want to give the best to their family, so every single immigrant that come, they don't want to buy just a fridge. They want to buy a house, they want to buy a push bike, they want to buy air conditioning. When they come, we spent very little on them as a nation educating them, right? So, but then when they arrive, guess what? They don't understand the rules? And you and I know that a solid percentage of the medical profession are of new Australians. Welcome, welcome, welcome. By the way, guys, just as a side note, I want to tell you when I knew I was Aussianized. I was a true Australian. So I was born in Brazil, and 3 World Cups ago, Brazil was actually playing Australia. I called my brother and I said, something is happening to me. Something's actually happening to me. He goes, what? I'm going for Australia. And he just said, die. Hang out my face. So guys, why am I saying this? Welcome. This is the best country in the world. Check this out. We are living a real housing crisis. It ain't gonna be fixed the next 10 years and so maybe 15 years. So demand will be greater than supply. So in response to the proposals to change negative gearing, Zoba states that such measures are a distraction from the real issue, the need for more housing. He warns that tampering with negative gearing could reduce the supply of new homes, exacerbating the housing shortage. We have a significant housing shortage. So now I'm going to start putting a few things together for you. You'll start to understand that when you bought your house, you paid for it alone, full of your own responsibility. When you buy a property investment, you have 2 partners. That's where we are going. You have the ATO and you have the tenant. We're going to go there. So here I am with a conversation about you got to get rid of your debt, personal debt, and investment debt is of a complete different nature. But I just want to explain to you, you are in an island where the population is going to go and up and up and up it will go. It has to go there. Otherwise, we have a defunct economy on only a decade from now. How do we balance all of this out? We are not producing enough houses. The demand for houses will increase. If you don't buy them, you're just going to pay more for them. If you buy them tonight, whatever houses you buy tonight is at discount tomorrow. I understand that there's a lot of arguments saying houses are so expensive, unaffordable. I've been doing this for 30 years. I remember when houses were $300,000 and the same conversation. A 4-bedroom house in Brisbane for $300,000. People are losing their hair in their head. And I told them back then, you can find old articles I wrote. I said, it's going to go to $1 million. It's going to go to $1 million. And here we are, right? So guys, check this out. You could buy a house in Sydney in the 70s for $17,000. Yeah. So with the digitalization of money, there's a lot of more coming down the pipeline. There's resets, financial resets, and all of that stuff. But the basics do not go away. You gotta eat, you gotta sleep somewhere. It's simple, okay? So if you look at the performance of that, which we like a lot, which is properties, and you are to do an analysis on performances on markets, I want you to know now that as interest rates come down, prices are going to skyrocket Australia-wide, right? And how are you going to position yourself in those? The other conversations also is this. Basically, for every 100 houses in Australia, there's 2 to 3 houses available. That's it for rent. Some markets is 1 house available for every 100. What I want to say to you is this. All the predictions from the banks is that interest rates are coming down. Simple as that. So the cost of financing a house is coming down. Yep. And here we have all these people burning all this tax. And we start putting it together. Let me give you something else about our economic future. Well, there's all this conversation about uncertainty. Yep. Yeah, I hear it all the time. I'll tell you what, in 1918, there was conversation about uncertainty. In 1928, the conversation about uncertainty. In 1938, the conversation about uncertainty. Oh, that's right. That's right. And then we had the First World War, and we had this. Listen, what's coming down the line is the recession. And after the recession is the boom. And after the boom is the recession. And after the recession is the boom. The future is full of opportunity, laced with difficulties. That's why you got to be strategic about it. Can't afford it? Don't do it. Can't afford it? Structure it. But let me give you something now that is extremely powerful. Our unemployment are varying between 4.1 and 4.4. Okay? So if you I looked at yesterday was 4.4. I looked at this morning, it was 4.1. One day. Anyway, data is like catching up to itself. So here's the presentation. But let's just say that we had a serious economic slowdown. Let's just imagine that for a second, okay? For whatever reason. And then unemployment in Australia goes from 4 to 5. It'll be news everywhere. If it went from 4 to 6, people are going to start freaking out. Hey, let's be radical and let's go from 4 to 10. Let's just say unemployment in Australia is 10%. Well, that means that out of 10 people, 9 are getting up and going to work. The train driver is driving the train. The doctor is taking care of others. The dentist is taking care of others. The teacher is teaching. So if you have a nation where it doesn't matter, 9 out of 10 people working, the majority of people still need a place to work. The point I want to make is this. Almost a third of businesses are struggling to find suitable workers. That's today, right? So the Nabimetrics paint and even stock a picture with almost 53% of businesses needing more people. Now I'm going to make a jump back and forth, and you're going to know exactly where I'm going to land. You bought your house alone. You are Matthew with $1 million worth of debt in your home. You will pay that alone. You pay for it alone. Think about that now. But when you have a property investment, you got to now focus on what I'm showing to you. 50% of the bills will be paid by the tenants. 35% of the bills will be paid by the government or more, depending on how much tax you're paying. Right? Your share is 15%, and you get to own 100% of the assets, and you don't have that as part of your strategy, something is amiss. You don't want to be in a position that you're going to have to fund your kids' university through your own hard labor, right? We have designed strategies after strategies to help people to have their assets pay for the bills. So guys, the missing link is integration. It's all I'm trying to say. If you are not integrating, you need the ability to integrate investing with debt reduction and tax planning. You need to put in place a systematic, simple, safe, easy to understand and repeatable system to enable you to create a large asset base without the hard work. That is the conversation. You should focus on integration. Increase of assets, minimize your tax, minimize your debt. Ought to occur to you as a software in your head. The more you invest, the less tax you pay. The less tax you pay, the more you drive your debt down. The less debt you have, the more you're able to invest. The more you invest, the less tax you pay. We call it the chain reaction, right? We invite you to be aware of this and be able to have that operate for you. Now, let me go into my second case study today. I want to talk to you about Dr. Raj, okay? So Dr. Raj says that he's on $400,000, but after you take his taxes, his levies, etc., he's taking home $241,000, right? So 39.7% tax, right? 60.3% net pay. Raj really believes he's on $400,000. We believe he's on $241,000. It's not a matter of belief. It's a matter of fact. How much money is coming into his pocket, right? Now, his house is worth $1.9 million. The debt on his house is $700,000. So he came in just like you. He came through one of our events. He started doing his financial wealth check through the software. I just want to go hardcore. A moment ago, I said, call your accountant. I'm still pledging, call your accountant. Let's do the numbers together, okay? So, guy shows up in my life and he tells me that his house is just about to be $2 million, right? Lives in country Victoria. His debt is $700,000, okay? Monthly repayments, right? Okay, so the bulk of his wealth sits in his house. So home equity, 1.2 million. He has almost $500,000 in super, not quite, but almost. He also has almost $1 million in shares. You meet a doctor, is 55 years old, and he has $1 million in shares. You know, and I know his mind is active in the investment process. I can tell you right now that his youngest child is no longer a child, it's teenager or older, right? He's activated his investment mindset. Got it. And he has 20 grand in savings. No worries. Okay. So if you have his current real net position, assets minus liabilities, $2.5 million. Raj would like to retire in 14 years with an income of 250 grand. You just put all of that into the software. Now, if we're to then let life just move forward, okay, the house of his value, by the time he retires, right? Yeah, he's telling us he wants to retire in 14 years. So the software forwards and takes him to 14 years in the future. The value of his house then will be around 3.4 million. The debt in his house will be at that time 51 if he keeps paying what the bank's telling him to pay, which is what he's doing, right? His monthly repayment then will be only $800, right? His home equity is 3.349, superannuation 775. So you see the super went from 450 to 775. Shares went from 1 million to 1.7 million, and the savings around $86,000, right? All right. Now, if then he retires and we want to get the debt in the house to zero, monthly repayments zero, yep. So now we're going to have to sell some of the shares or using some of his savings, yep, to pay for the house. Now, here is we started to have a look now at transiting to just having the superannuation and the shares to have what we call the chain reaction. Houses that buy houses and houses that buy everything else. So in this particular place here on the left, the net wealth outside of the home, if cash preserved, assets minus liabilities, 2.6 million. Net wealth, all right, outside of the home, if cash preserved, assets minus liabilities, 5.5 million. Not bad, huh? Not bad. Well, what I want you to know now is this the best deal for Raj? If we're to sit here now and have a look and start comparing one without a strategy and with a strategy, what if I was to tell you that his inefficiency could buy him 2 or 3 property investments up front? And the conversation is, it's easier for me to show you in the graph. That is his graph if he doesn't invest and just keeps going. He'll be worth 3.3 million. Look at that. But right now, you see the green pieces here? That means this. We put him into the software. The software says, Raj, you have plenty of equity, you have plenty of income, paying too much tax. And the truth is, you can buy these 3 properties for less than $200 a week. No. Yeah. No. Yeah. Why hasn't my accountant told me that? It's not his job. What? Why hasn't my accountant told me that? It's not his job. Some accountants, we're finding more and more accountants are saying to the dentists, to the doctors, to the nurses, right? You should buy a property investment. You should buy a property investment. It's becoming more common, but it's not their job to say that to you. Now, I want to show you something that is going to blow your mind, and this is the point I want to make here right now. This is Raj. Between now and retirement, he can actually buy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 houses. 8 houses. So it's tough for me for saying to you that 3 houses for less than $200 a week, because you see, we are very conservative. But the truth is, if interest rates come down, the cheaper those loans become. What if I told you that the houses could be cash flow positive? No. Yeah. Julia, how do you know? Because all the accounting is done. The software creates all the accounting in the back end for real. And that's why I want to give you access to the software See, in a moment, I'm about to give you 10 hours worth of consulting in less than 20 minutes. How do you do that? Well, 30 years doing this. And that's why Amazon recognized us, and I was telling you in the beginning of the presentation, as one of the most sophisticated AIs in this space. It's what you're looking at right now. So in real terms, this basic strategy would deliver Raj a minimum of $29,000 per annum. Coming back to him, please hear me. On tax savings alone, that's $290,000 over the next decade. It would wipe his mortgage out, right? In real terms, the goal is to clear his personal debt using other people's money. But this is what we're setting out to do. We're going to pull equity out of his own house, buy another house. Why? Because they're going to let him. And so, house paid for in real terms years earlier using the tax saved. After inflation, right, the $389,000 worth of income needed at retirement is now fully covered. See, 250 grand today, it's what he told us that he wants to retire on. But in 14 years, that will be 389,000, the equivalent to buy the same services and goods. Progressive and compounding tax savings, more investments, less tax, more capacity to eliminate debt. Once own house is paid for, we stop paying the first property investment. Cool? So guys, let me now take you through to case study number 1. And what I'm gonna do right now is this. I'm gonna switch from the slides into the software. Come with me, right? All right, guys, we are inside of the software right now. This is the legacy of my life, 30 years in Medigrow. This software is designed so that you can sit on your own with your spouse and map out your life, hunt down your inefficiencies. There's no one trying to sell you anything, push anything. It is designed so you can work with your accountant. You can just imagine a software that will take your numbers. It doesn't know that you are you, and hunt down all the inefficiencies, show to you what's possible. It actually creates 3 timelines. It is designed in the most beautiful way. It shows you the as is if you do nothing. Just keep living your life as is. What can you do? What is possible for you right now? And if you were to chain react, and that's what we gave Raj. I'm gonna give it to you now. So as you can see here, if John comes in, this is just another example, okay? You will have access to this in a moment. And this is why I want you to share the link with your accountant, okay? So here we go. John is on $385,000 a year, right? His wife, Anna, is on $192,000 a year. Okay, so you have a couple here, very good income, and they have 2 kids, okay. They have 160 grand in cash. Now, as the financial wealth check starts to take the numbers in, please understand, after 30 years, we have thousands and thousands of samples. The AI is insane in terms of looking for, if you have a couple with 2 kids, that age, it's already mapping out all sorts of conversations in the background, school fees, holidays, it's all sorts of different tables. But the point is, it comes down to how much per week could you put towards your future? How much could you save towards your future? This is you putting in your own numbers. No one is pushing, no one is asking. They said we can put away $1,500 and we would like to retire in 18 years. Right, we would like to retire on the equivalent of $280,000. Okay, this software is so advanced that if you were to put the address of your house here, the software will go onto the internet and pull the value of your house from an insurance point of view, right? It'll put your valuation, like a third party went to value your house today, well, what a bank would think your house to be worth, not what the market thinks, but what the bank would think to lend money to, it will populate here, right? Now, check this out. The value of their home is $2.3 million and they owe $556,000. Now that you've been with me for a bit, you understand that that 550 grand is our target number 1. We want to get rid of that ASAP. Now, imagine if you were to press one button, right? And you were to able to say, just calculate the different timelines that would occur in my life if I do something and if I don't do anything. It's as simple as that. See, this is where I say to you that my life is very similar to yours. We're looking at systems. You're looking at human systems. I am looking at investment systems, right? So what is actually happening then is this. If you tell a patient to take a proactive action in doing a few things, and that patient does not do that, you know the consequences. So it's the same. Continue as is, continue smoking, continue depressed, continue whatever the condition may be, or what if is possible now. Systematically is the same approach. Let's have a look at this. So we know now if John was to go and keep going in his life, you can actually put a click and see how rich he will be. Look, in 5 years from now, in 10 years from now, you can just follow the line. What would happen here, right, is everything being equal. You see this table up here? No one is trying to force any outcome. It looks at the mathematics of life. So you can do your own research. You can say property will be performing at 5%, money in the bank 1%, money in super 5%, funds 5%. No, Julio, my super performs at 6.5%. Was that before fees or after fees? No, after fees. Okay, so you come here and you change it to 6.5%. Oh, look, I think property is going to perform at 4%. Okay, change it to 4. Oh no, I think it's 6%. Okay, change to 6%. What happens is we don't want you to put crazy numbers here, but numbers that actually are possible. Point being is comparing if you do nothing or keep living your life as you are, or you to do something. Check this out. These guys will accumulate 4.4 million. If they truly want to retire, as they said to us that they want to retire on 280 grand, well, in 280 grand, if inflation, check this out, if inflation is 4% per annum compounding, right, and you're to come here then, what you're going to say is, Dr. John and Anna, at the moment of your retirement, in 18 years, your desired income of 280 will have to be $589,000 for you to buy exactly the same services, right, and goods then. It's already taking care of inflation. So if they were to pull the second value from their wealth, they would run out of money in 7 years. Please, this wealth is outside the home. That's when accountants say to you, you should buy your own home. Why? Because when you sell your home, you don't pay capital gains tax. Check this out. These guys would have to sell their homes or go back to work. They know now. They don't need to wait 18 years or 2 years out, 3 years out to have a sense. It's happening now. If you're working with your accountant, you can just make those numbers, adjust those numbers up here to the best way for you. Now, everything being equal, if I press possible now, this is what I love about my software. Absolutely love. And this software is being designed in collaborations with doctors across Australia. We didn't start this yesterday, right? So when I became cover of CEO magazine was for the relentless chase against inefficiencies. The software has no mercy. It says to this couple, if you don't have a strategy, you are burning the equivalent of $8,000 a week, not per month, not per annum, per week. What? Yep. Because if there's a you with a strategy and you without a strategy, and I'll compare both of you at retirement, and I'll just to see the number of weeks between now and then, it's $8,000 you burn per week. This consultation alone, this moment alone is worth a hell of a conversation. Check this out. These guys can buy 3 property investments, 1, 2, 3 property investments. And you think, whoa. Well, the software has no feelings. You do. How come they haven't bought 3 properties yet? Because they're busy. Because they are busy. A story of my life, right? Oh, by the way, if they already had a couple of property investments, all you do in your financial wealth check, is you put the addresses of those properties, and the software will tell you the value of your properties every day. Okay, just for simplicity now, 3 properties. Julio, hold on a second. Whoa. Yeah, let's load this right down. How do you know? If you go here and you do a quick analysis, check this out. I want you to be very clear. Those properties will be $33 per week, cash flow positive after tax. So this pie chart here shows that between the tenant, and the tax man, the house is paid for completely. No, yeah. That's how much waste of taxation is got. The more you invest, less tax you pay. The less tax you pay, the more you drive your debt down. This other pizza here is, again, if your accountant says, oh, we need to calculate the cash flow before you get the money back from the ATO, it's already done. It's already done. And the beauty is the visualization is beautiful, it's easy to follow, and you can go through it. It is, I'm telling you now, it's 10 hours with a consult in less than 6 minutes. Why? Because it's AI driven, at your fingertips. Now check this. I can do a property analysis now, and you say, Julio, how do you get to these figures? Check this out. So we're saying they're buying a property investment for $650. In a moment, I'm gonna show you I can change the value of that property, and all of the calculations will be done. For those of you that are being with me so far, please understand, talking about numbers is where the game is. The software is designed to be conservative. Let's do the analysis together. So if they were to buy a property for $650, the land is not deductible, the house is. So it's $360,000 worth of depreciation. Okay, got it. Total costs. You notice that even though the value cost $650, there's $682,000 here, meaning all the stamp duty, solicitor's fees, council rates, everything else is already budgeted for, right? You can start looking at this, that interest rates at 6.5%. But Julio, I can get a cheaper rate. Yeah. So if we get it cheaper than 6.5, the numbers will be looking even better. Software is conservative. So it imagines that the property is going to be financed at 6.5, and then we get loans cheaper than that, the better it is. It also imagines a very low rent. I know that a $650,000 property can get a little better rent than that. And also imagines that the property is empty for 2 weeks every year. It comes here on the other side, you see his income, you see her income. Then what actually has to happen is you add to their income the rental income from the properties. Then the deductions. Taxable income becomes present tax, new tax. So please be clear, we already know that he would save $10,783.80, and she would save $9,916.55. The property cost them minus $33. Here's the analysis for the next property, and here's the analysis for the next property. So together, they would save, check this out, $60,000 in tax. Ladies and gentlemen, and that's $600,000 coming off the mortgage in the next decade just because they are strategic. And it will cost them minus $33 per house. It is just too good to be true, right? No, it is just numbers. So if you start to look at that, now, I want to show you now the nature of everything so we can move on with the presentation. What if I go back here to graphs, check this out. And this software was able to move with them forward. These guys could buy enough properties, check this out, and have outside of the home a net worth of $12 million. That is Medigrow. Please don't fall from the chair right now. This is my life, is what we do every day. That's why I want your accountant here, I want your financial advisor here. I want to understand that this is just numbers. Now, your numbers are unique to you, right? Where are you putting your numbers to know what's happening for you? Now, people start asking me all sorts of details. Oh, what about this? What about that? You are in control. There is no more not knowing. Dear dentist, dear doctor, dear nurse, if you are here with me now, there is no more not knowing. There isn't. The numbers are just numbers. That's why I love what I do. I love what I do. Let me give you more analysis so you just get where I'm going with this. How would you sit tonight if you could know, get this, this is you if you did nothing, just keep living your life. This is you if you only did 2 properties right now, like the typical investment couple in Australia did 1 or 2 properties and forgot about it. And this is you if you kept going. And the software mapped out every single time you could move. You see the nature now of Medigrow? Check this out. Same couple. Stay as you are, $4.4 million. Buy a couple of properties right now, hope for the best, $8 million. If you're to buy a bunch of properties along the way, you'll be worth $12 million. Surely, at the end of, after you retire, people say, oh, what about capital gains tax? What about this? Listen, the government always tries to tax you. But the truth is, capital gains tax, according to current laws, has to do with your current income. So don't sell the properties. Sell them after you retire, after you are in a pension phase. But that's not for me to comment. You need to sit with a financial advisor. But I want to say this right now. At the end of your work life, if you had to choose between being worth 4 million or 12 million, I don't know about you, but I would choose to be worth 12 million. What do you think? Right? So guys, this is just to show you the power, to give you, all right, a piece of the conversation on how this is going to work. Okay? So now, check this out. Piece is, we're going to go back to the presentation now. Okay, guys, we are back now onto the PowerPoint presentation. Let's keep going. I hope you're enjoying this. This software is 30 years in the make. It is my legacy work. We want people to know the numbers, know emotions. How are you doing financially? So the point of the software, okay, is to create an environment where you can truly analyze your numbers. Cool? Now, I can give you software up to the yin-yang. The conversation really is this. What's your debt doing? How's your finance going? So guys, I want you to know that we have access to over 90 banks. When you become a client here, what actually happens is this. We can put all your numbers inside of our portal and go to 90 banks in one afternoon. Take your name out so your credit file never get touched. And we can start having all sorts of conversations with a multitude of banks to compare the loans that you already have. So now get this. When Raj came to see me, what I want to do is, as you know, is to get him out of debt. So I want you to know that before us, he's paying his mortgage very slowly. And after us, the idea is this, we'll shave almost 9 years. So he would pay, rather than in 13 years, he will pay his mortgage in 4 years. Now, if that's not magical, I don't know what magical is. So now for those of you that want to know how we would do this, take a screenshot right now and take a photo, because that is the Medigrow methodology. If you already have a house with equity in it, we protect that house. That's why you have the circle around the top house, meaning is your house. You pull equity against that house, you buy another house. You know why? Because you can. But before you do, we put firewalls, we do all the analysis, we do all the cash flow. What if interest rate rises? What if it doesn't rent? What if you lost your job? You can afford it, we do it. Can't afford it, we do not do it. The point is, you pull equity against the first house, buy the second house, pull equity against the 2 houses, buy the third house, and keep going. What you're looking at right now is what the software was doing, putting the properties in the timeline. So this here is a concept, is what the software will design for you personally, right? Now, you and I know that those houses will go cash flow positive. Now, for Dr. John, you just saw here, from day one, his property was cash flow positive. What it means is this: that property could buy $30 worth of shares every week. What? You heard me. cash flow positive. He can put it in to pay the mortgage faster, or he could buy other assets. That's what you're looking here. So eventually, all the houses will become more and more and more cash flow positive. And that's why the arrows are going out. So if you have a property investment that is worth, I don't know, $1 million and you owe $500,000, you and I know that property is going to be putting $300 a week in your pocket. That $300 could just be to buy other things, and then away we go. So what's actually happening here now is this. On the right here is the structuring of your finance. It's basically the accumulation of the understanding of debt reduction, offset accounts, integrated debt reduction strategies, right? All I want to say to you is this is what we specialize on. What you'll find is that Scott Baker is a senior broker, 30 years doing it. He is known as one of the top brokers in Australia. Michael is his protege. Kid is a genius of a kid, amazing. And what happens here right now is this. We have been making tailored debt reduction strategy for doctors for a long time. You can watch a little bit of a video here from Scott. Gives me a chance to drink some water.
What doctors are no different to everybody else, that everybody's scenario is a little bit unique. And what fits for some doctors isn't going to fit for another doctor. So talking to your colleagues is fantastic, but just because your colleague did one thing doesn't mean you've got to do the same thing. And it doesn't mean it fits for you. So talking to others and finding out what they've done is fantastic, but then getting help and getting professional advice, and that professional advice is going to look at your specific individual circumstance, that's the difference. A great scenario that I'm working with at the moment is a doctor who's got a great deal of equity in a current property, a current investment property, but his number one goal is to reduce his bad debt. It's a great goal for him to have. We're able to show him how, utilising the equity in his current property, we're able to purchase another property and help increase his level of income and good debt, and utilise that extra level of income to help get rid of his bad debt. And in fact, we've been able to, on numbers, he should be able to get rid of his current owner-occupied mortgage in 3 years. Without the current property purchase, it's probably going to be about 5 or 6 years.
Now that you have met Scott, you may say, Julio, I want now. I want a finance analysis now. I know interest rates are coming down. What's possible for us? It's a free consultation. All you got to do is to let us know. Let us know here in the chat, in the conversations. You can just scan this QR code and my team will come back to you in a moment. So guys, the last case study for us to do is your own case study. Welcome to Medigrow. This is where your not knowing ends, and it ends today. This is the highlight of the presentation for me. I'm about to give you personally 10 hours worth of consulting in less than 6 minutes. And that's why I want to share this with your accountant. Okay? Check this out. Here, there's a link here. Okay? I'm going to simply copy this link. Don't worry, my team is going to put this link right now inside of your chat, and you'll be able to get it. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to get off the presentation again. I'm going to go into a normal browser, a Google browser right now, whatever browser you have, and put the link you just copied, right, into the browser. It's going to open up the software. In a moment, the software is going to create a file unique to you. You will be able to share this file with your accountant, financial planner, spouse, but your not knowing ends today, right? So it's very simple to use. Let's just do this together. You can see this. Okay, let's do it together. So basically what you do is you get the link that it's in the chat right now, coming through to you, put in your browser, right? And you can share this with your accountant. Now, so let me just do this. Here we go together, okay? Here we go. I'm in.
Thank you for registering.
Now,
I'll send you an email with your temporary password and login information.
So the software now would have sent to you a password with your new login. I would suggest you visit that, you go there and change your passwords. Now, let's just do this together, okay? So my date of birth, here we go. Very quickly, let's just do it together. Self-employed, yes. Now, this is where this becomes very, very powerful, because if you don't remember exactly what the numbers are, you can come back to it, adjust, okay, and do it. So right now, of course, I'm an Australian citizen, and I am single, okay, kids, all my kids are grown up. So how much have you got saved now? I'm just going to say 200,000 for now, or you could say 100 grand. Yeah, I'll go with 100 grand. Superannuation, let's just say I got $345,000 in super. As you can see, it is your numbers. Now, wrong numbers in, wrong numbers out, right? So let's just say I got 30 grand in shares. I don't have any debt against those those shares. Monthly repayment on the debt is also 0. Credit cards, I want to say I have a credit card value to $10,000. Cool. I can say, for argument's sake, $350 a week. Okay, yeah. And I want to retire in, let's just say, 18 years from now. How much income per annum I want to have. Now, income per annum is a funny thing, because if your kids are gone and your house is paid for, how much money do you really need to live an incredible life? So if you say, 4 grand a week, 200,000, 3,000 a week, 150,000. I'm gonna go with $200,000. Okay. Now here is like this. Do you own your home or you are renting? I'm gonna go. I am owning my home. Yeah. So this is what I was saying to you. If I was to go here and put in an address, right? Let's just say, whatever your address is, it will find the value of your property, okay? I'm just gonna say the value of my house right now, for argument's sake, is I wanna make this a bit more for everybody that is here. I'm gonna make up 1,900,000, okay? Yeah, and I'm gonna say the debt against that house is $500,000. Yeah, 500,000 UK. Yeah, interest rates already calculated for me. I can go down here and say if I have properties investments or not. If I come here for property investments, you can put all the details of your property investments right now, right?
Processing.
Imagine now, all of that magic is done. If you were to sit with your accountant and go through this, I'm talking to you, it is 10 hours with the conversations going. It is all done. The inefficiency, if this was me, is $2,000 a week. If these are my real numbers, my chain reaction equals to 3 property investments, my difference in outcome, okay? Now, guys, I put myself as single. If you have a spouse, your borrowing capacity goes through the roof. All I want to say to you now is, hey, Nathan, can you tell me how many people are watching this presentation right now and how many people are coming into the software? I can see some movement here now. Hey guys, notice this right now. The software, as we go into the software, it's almost as if the moment that the magic comes, you can have an opportunity to have a look at your numbers. Some people go, whoa, I will wait. I want you to know this. The majority of you are here because your accountant told you to be here. Some of you are here through marketing. I get that. Some of you are meeting us for the first time. But some of you are here because, right, some of your peers told you to come. The conversation is this software, can you tell me the number? Right. Hey guys, there's a bunch of people watching right now and not coming in. Let me just make sure that I didn't go too fast. Can you see what I'm looking at right now? This is the code and the QR code to get in. They are gonna put again into the box, okay, the text box here, so you can access it. Because today, this ends. Today, this conversation ends. This is it, guys, the chain reaction solution from concept on a slide to a software that can empower you to know your numbers the rest of your life. So now, the purpose of Medigrow, I want to just play this video for you right now, and so you can see where we're coming from and where we are going. The best way for me to describe what Medigrow is to tell you our day-to-day experiences. We work with doctors throughout Australia, in every state. And on a day-to-day basis, we see young doctors coming through to people who are just about to retire. And there's a few things that are very common. These guys pay more tax than a small business. And there are ways that are tested and proven to minimize their tax, and normally it's through investment. It is fascinating how doctors that come in their 50s and they still don't know it. It's fascinating that we have doctors that are young, they heard about it, some even know it, but they don't have it. Knowing and not having it produces exactly the same results as not knowing. So on now day to day, we want to get them out of debt. We're sick of banks pretending to doctors to give them a cheaper interest rate and yet get them addicted to debt. If you knew how these guys have no debt reduction, it is scary. So what we design is a platform, it's a community. So I want you to imagine from an organic point of view, it's a community where doctors come together. We throw dinners and parties and conferences, and they come together so they have a space to learn, to share, to grow, and to be very specific on what they want to achieve financially. Let me say that again. Medigrow is about doctors becoming very specific about what they want to achieve financially. So what we have created is a platform where they can actually look at it. They can place their numbers into a software that tells them what their inefficiencies are, how much they are burning, every single dollar that's not working for them. And guess what? They are doctors. They look at biological systems all the time. So all we're trying to do is help them to transfer that understanding from biological systems into financial systems. They will see the bleeding. They will see the inefficiencies. They will see it. Not only that, then, imagine a place where you can learn all the theories and then the application among your peers. Learn from each other. So that's what Medigrow is a community for financial intelligence, for doctors that want to get ahead in life. Let me now show you what other doctors are saying about Medigrow.
I went into the Medigrow event with a tax bill over $100,000, and I was a big, hardworking doctor, and in my mind, all I had to do in my life was work harder to make more money. And despite medical school being a challenging process for me and thinking of myself as being quite smart, I didn't work smart. I used my knowledge to work harder. And what the Medigrow event taught me was that by working smarter, I could reduce that tax bill and I could accumulate assets and to really have reward for my profession. It enabled us to think a little bit more clearly and to really work as a team. I thought we, within the day, we felt that we actually were working as two individuals. This course made us think, no, we're a lot more stronger together. But not just we are more stronger together, it gave us the tools and at least a structure and a strategy on how to actually move forwards together as a team. And it really embedded itself. It took us nearly a week to digest after the course, just the pure strategies. And every time we looked at each other, we'd smile because we knew that something new was coming up in our lives. We really, really felt that.
I really enjoy it. I really enjoyed a very nice course, and actually, I was so naive in financial things, and the only thing we know is about how to go to the practice, how to work. We earn the money, nothing else. But now, yeah, we have some ideas at least about how to go on, how to proceed. Actually, now I think I have a more clear idea about where I would be in 5 years, in 10 years financially, and how I'm going to retire. So that's good. I have some plan. You know, when I want to go somewhere, if you don't have the address, my life, I think my financial life was like that. You don't know the address, you're just driving. But now I have the address of the place I want to go.
This Medigrow course was to know about tax planning, bit of a debt reduction, and know about the self-managed super funds and how I can utilize my savings and the super both to purchase a property or probably looking at the existing property portfolio and see how we can enhance or expand, or we can actually have a strategic planning as we go into the pretty much retirement phase. And I think there was a fantastic team of Julio and Dominic, and they were both really awesome speakers.
I think it definitely inspired me to take a review of my own financial systems more regularly. Not to be a fanatic about it, but know that when you do take those financial blood pressures for yourself, that there might be a lot of inefficiencies that can cost a lot of money in the long term, that if you made simple changes now would save you possibly millions, which kind of blows my mind.
Let me just conclude for you now how we operate. We created the Medigrow community. We have dinners across Australia. We have dinners in Sydney, Melbourne, Gold Coast, Brisbane, and our doctors come together. These are doctors that their back end is done. Let me just show you the results of some of the doctors that have trusted and become our clients. Hamid and Rita, property portfolio. As you can see here, they bought a property in 2019. That property alone has given them $71,000. In 2020, they were able to buy another one. See, the chain reaction is already taking place. All mapped out, all with the link with their accountant. They know exactly where they are at. So our priority for this couple is to get rid of the debt of their own home. The moment their own home is paid for, we are going to start paying the first property investment. By the time it's all done, they're going to have around 6 to 7 property investments, of which 4 of them will be paid for in full, right? Now, how are we going to do that? Well, right now, with only those initial properties, they're getting back from the ATO $32,000 net, right? Straight into the mortgage. And those 2 properties cost them minus $86 per week. I absolutely love this. Now, when you start having a look at Dr. Saeed also became a client, bought 2 properties, one in 2021, another one in 2022. It's interesting that he's not been able to buy another one, get this, because he actually borrowed against his new asset base to buy his clinic. So the clinic is not reflected here, but the properties are still there, bringing him an incredible amount of tax deduction. So when you actually look at it, it's $21,000 coming back to him every year, straight into the debt in his own home. Okay, Dr. Van, right? And you start to look at, again, you start to be able to see what's actually happening. Doctor per doctor is the same protocol. The more you invest, less tax you pay. The less tax you pay, the more you drive your debt down. And how do we do it? In the software, you can just pull the stats, pull the numbers, and do your tax planning with so much more power than ever before. Dr. Dev is still one of our very champions. Dr. Dev, when he first came to meet us, typical, clever, working very hard, massive mortgage. And we said to him, my friend, we're going to get rid of that debt for you. And look at him now. He's already got his 7th property investment. It's not being upgraded here. It's happening as we speak, right? This is our business. Our business is to help doctors to have wealth outside of their labor and outside of their home, right? Again, for Dev, it's $70,000 coming back to him. Clear the debt on his house already. Clear the debt on the first property investment already. And I can give you countless doctors, one after the other, where this is the integrated solution. So guys, in order to close this presentation, as if this was a flight and we were coming towards the airport, you would see the captain saying, cabin crew, prepare for landing. So what is my business? It's education. That's where you are right now. Hopefully, I am giving you a ton of ideas to conceptualize. Once you get it, you go, I want to transfer my tax into assets. You can hop onto the software. If you are my client, the software is yours. If you are not my client, the software is open to you and your account in a maximum of 3 months. After that, we shut it down. We don't want data of people that are not our clients in any way, shape, or form. Then we will help you to build the property portfolio. We don't sell properties, we buy properties. In order to buy those properties, we're gonna get you the best finance available with a debt reduction strategy. That's the integration I'm speaking about from the beginning. I want you to be very clear. We do not sell properties, we buy them. Every single property you buy through Medigrow and through our efforts, it comes to a very thorough selection criteria. Be clear, we do not buy crappy properties. Crappy properties is a technical term. We don't buy them. Why? Because I need to borrow against the houses you already have to buy the next houses. Every single property has to pass a 44-point checklist. We have to pick up at least 36 points out of the 44 points, okay? Every single state that we buy, what happens is that we will work with you, right, in order to make sure that you get a full report on every properties. If you think about it, the houses could be considered even secondary. What you want to know is location. Why would this property grow in value? Why would it attract more rent? All the analysis done for you. No guesswork whatsoever. So now I want you to meet some of my team. If you're already being in touch with Pedro, Pedro is the one who is going to be connecting with you. And if you say, I want to know more, right, he will be able to connect with you, connect you with one of our client managers to take you through what's possible for you. It's the same QR code here. If you have not yet getting to the software, this is the QR code you need to copy right now to be able to get in. The team will once again put in the code onto the chat box so you can see it. My gratitude to my whole entire team. Here's a slide of absolutely every single person in the team. And without a team, we could not do what we do. Guys, it's been an incredible morning talking to you today. It's been really amazing. I want to say this to you just before I start to get to a close. Bunch of questions came throughout the presentation. My team has got it, and they'll be giving it to me now. So we are going to go into Q&A. And I just need 6 seconds to drink some water, and we go through. Can I ask you for a review? They will send you a link for a review as well if you like what we have done here today. And please follow us on Instagram. It makes all the difference. Guys, let's go into Q&A straight away. Would you please be able to open your cameras? I just want to say hi as we're saying goodbye. Can you just open your cameras now? If you're at home, I just want to say hello. Hey guys, how you doing? Look, the very first question I have here is Samaya is asking, please provide more details on how this process of getting back the taxes paid to the government works. It's like this, Samaya. When you buy a house for you to live in, you get no benefit as an investment. But the moment that a property is an investment, It's a completely different set of rules. It's designed to create for you future income. So the government sees it as an investment, not personal use. So the rules change. And the best way to do this then is to get what's called a depreciation schedule. So the moment you have a property investment, you simply organize a third party, a company that does depreciations, and they will provide for you and your accountant a document that depreciates everything: carpets, ovens, windows, And the truth is, this is much more an accounting depreciation, because you and I know that even though the accountant is going to argue that the house is depreciating, you and I know the house is actually going up in value. And that's why this is actually very, very, very powerful, right? When values are going up and the ATO accepts that you lodge in a depreciation schedule. Now, please do come in. If you come into the software, please share the link of the software with your accountant. When I show it, because in a presentation like this, I can't go into the detail, but the software is really powerful and will give you hours and hours and hours of consulting without you have to pay hours to accountants and financial planners. Nonetheless, it is designed to work with them. So basically, you understand your story and the numbers in your story, but then what actually happens is, once you get your game plan, then you, by all means, bring your accountant, bring my team, bring your financial advisor, your broker. It's all about a team approach. Now, I have here with me this morning as well, Dr. Dev. Dev is a friend. I met Dev many years ago, and I would like just Dev to tell you guys a little bit about being a doctor, not knowing his numbers, and then when he met JDL, what actually happened to his numbers ever since. Hi, Dev. Good morning. Thank you for joining us this morning, brother. How are you?
Hi, Julio. Can you hear me and see me?
I can hear you fine, brother.
No, that's great. You're looking great. Look, thanks for inviting me. I wasn't expected to be invited, but you texted me and said, or your team did, just give us a story. Look, for those who are new to this, I've been with Medigrow and doing properties through the other company, JDL Strategies, for about 11 years, 7 properties now. It's quite a journey, actually, but for those who are new, it's all about wealth creation. We're never rich. We're trying to be wealthy in life. Hey, Julia, I saw that ATO publication where they looked at the top 10 occupations that have the highest taxable income. I think it was year 22, 23, and surgeons were up there number 1. And their average taxable income was $472,000. And I think the Anistis was born in 22. When I saw those numbers, Julio, that's a crime.
I think so too.
If they did, which top professions have the least decent financial advice? Number 1, surgeons. Number 2, anesthetists. Because if your taxable income is $472,000, then nearly half of that's gone.
And you know, Dev, for those of you that are following me, we've been doing this for a long time. When I went to Parliament talking about the future of the economy, and people mocked me, laughed at me when I said doctors should not pay, anyone in the medical profession should not pay taxes. And people looked at me like, what? Man, they are the front lines. They are the front lines of the economy, Dev. You know that every single time a surgeon goes to work, anesthetist goes to work, they putting people back into their lives. Or in other words, they making people producing humans again, parts of the economy. And people laughed, and I'm doing it anyway, right? You look at your own journey after you put the first property and the second property, and then how much tax you get back. Your tax planning became very, very powerful. So you're absolutely right. They have very little information on how to minimize their tax legally by investing. And that's why we created the software.
And I think that it's the team. It's not all about properties. It's not all about bricks and mortar. It's about financial planning. It's all about understanding the beauty of compounding. It's understanding the beauty of delayed gratification. It's the long journey that, as you describe it nicely, it's the pathway. And you're right, if you make a lot of money today, you'll just spend it all tomorrow. So there's nothing left. So, and let's not forget the beauty of leverage as well. Once you've got the first property and the second property, then you can then acquire the third and the fourth. I mean, everybody's circumstances are different.
Dev, what would you say to the doctors that are here now, right, with good income and a massive mortgage? What would you say to them?
Well, the problem with having the mortgage, if it's your own house, it's a non-tax deductible expenditure, and it's really trying to change that mindset and think, okay, the mortgage is where the house where you live is where you live, and if you're spending $5,000 interest, and that's almost like paying $5,000 rent, you never actually will own that property unless you pay it off. So it's all about reducing your non-tax deductible, your bad debt, as you called it. And there's lots of mechanisms of doing that.
See, guys, one of the reasons for me hanging out with Dev is this. When Dev and I met, straight away, I said to Dev at the time, I said, you're not just a doctor, you're an entrepreneur, great mind, kids becoming adults. And our conversations straight away was about application, was about, a mixture between numbers and philosophy. And he just kind of put his toe in the water. And I think he bought 2 properties up front and then bought a property every year, like every time that he could move, being in business himself as a doctor. It is such a pleasure to just invite and say to people, hey, you've been here how long? Over a decade, right? And yeah.
And then the numbers work, and the non-believers out there, they're obviously quite perplexed by the numbers, but the numbers do work. Look, I'm not rich. I'm wealthy, but I'm not rich. I drive a Toyota Yaris 1.4 manual with a dent in the back. And I don't drive a nice car like you do, Julio, because I live within my means. And that's the delayed gratification that when you retire. I'm 57 and I'm not going to go beyond 60,
You're looking good for 57, Dev. Very, very sharp.
Yeah, it's the good living, but and sleeping well, because I know I'm going to be debt free when I retire.
So guys, what I want you to know this, you will receive right now a SMS from my team. For those of you that are here, that look at the QR code, didn't come into the software yet, you'll receive an SMS right now. My team will reach out and say, what is it that you want to do? What are the numbers that you want us to look at? How can we help? All you got to do is say, yes, please call me, and we will engage you with the system, engage you with the software. And if you have a good accountant, we will tell you. We have been working with accountants across Australia, and we know the best of the best, right? If you don't, we also will tell you, but that's not even the point. The point is to give you thoughts and strategies that you can act on and minimize your tax legally. Please take this home today. The less tax you pay, the more you drive your debt down, the less debt you have, the more you invest. And then you start to create all these conversations. Dev, what would you say to yourself? Let's just say you're here now for over 10 years. And if there was a Dev 10 years ago, because 10 years ago, you're already making good money, right? I remember when we met, you live in a nice place. You had a big debt against your own mortgage at the time. What would you say to yourself if you to meet yourself 11 years ago from this point of view now?
I won't do anything different, Julio. I've got the nice house. That's you remember to get it's a big house, and but the value of the house has increased considerably. Living in northern upper north shore of Sydney. And look, having that nest is important for the family. The kids are growing up there or at uni now. But I wouldn't have done anything different, because what if I hadn't have, I don't want to, blow your trumpet, mate, but if I hadn't met you, then that would have been the mistake, but meeting you and understanding financial intelligence and understanding how you can tax minimize. And for me, my interest and love was property. Sure, I've got a a share portfolio, but it's very minimal. But the beauty I liked about the properties was that the compounding, the art of compounding, as Albert Einstein said, it's the eighth.
The beautiful thing, right? Yeah, yeah.
And we're lucky in Australia because land is short. We live in four main cities of this country. Well, I suppose five if you include Perth. And so you can always have those properties and 20 years later sell it to pay off your mortgage. So it's a strategy, it's a plan for where you're going to be in 20 years' time. And
Yeah.
if I was going to do it again, I'd have invested yesterday, but I didn't. But I invested today. And the worst thing you can do is not invest tomorrow. So,
Hey, Dev, thank you so much for coming in. I have two more questions here that I want to answer before we go. Brother, I know you told me you have a meeting, so I want to thank you once again for coming in. I just got my team handling me more questions. So let me just tackle a couple of those. Dev, once again, thank you for your support and your love to Medigrow. You are a real partner. And guys, for those of you that do not know this, I don't know if you got that. Through the software, Dev can go in, hop into the property portal, and have a look like live right now, the value of all his houses, how much rent, and also get this, the leveraging prospect. I want you to imagine if you had access to a software that says, this is your portfolio, and from this portfolio, you could borrow this much money, you could do this all at your fingertips. So if you are here with me in Medigrow, I want to invite you to tap into 30 years doing this. It is very important that you share the link of the software with your accountant. Why? Because what we want to do is to have no gaps, no misunderstanding, because the numbers are the numbers. The next question I got right now is, and this question is more relevant than you know. It's a private question, okay? And it's saying like this. Listen, I work a lot. I make good money. But at the end of the day, I still do not have a deposit. How do I get out of my situation, able to invest and do something? I want you to know this is a great percentage of doctors, a great percentage. I don't want to make numbers up, but I want to say to you, it's above 30%. What actually happens is this. You take a long time to study, and then you start to get it coming into money. And as I said in the beginning, you keep matching your income to your expenses. And suddenly you have a couple of kids and they're in private schools. And because you always had good income, and doctors are workaholics, they are, right? By nature, by definition. So then what happens is this, you find yourself, thank you for the question, because you find yourself in your 40s. And then you say, man, I'm in the rat race. That's what the definition of the rat race is. Now, because we have just met, I want you to know this. We've seen it every week for the last 30 years. Every week is the same situation. So without knowing your specifics, right, it's kind of tough for me to make all my team, or anyone here on the team, to be able to make the defined suggestions, steps, right? How do we do this? So I want to invite you to go into the software. I would love to book a meeting between you, perhaps your accountant, and we sit on a three-way. That's why technology is here now. We can hop on a Zoom and start tackling it. I want you to know every week, we have 2 to 3 doctors that show up. And the truth is, there's always a way. If there's a will, there's a way. So I want to encourage you, and thank you for the question, because that question is like, how do I get out? But on a public and open forum like this, it is difficult for me to be able to answer if I don't see your numbers. The moment you see your numbers, I promise you, the moment you see your numbers, things will start to get clarified. If you knew how much people work so hard, and we start going into the specification of the numbers, people go, I don't know. I generally don't know. Why? Because there's not enough hours in the day. And that's why we created this whole protocol. Okay, the last question is, would the finance broker be cut? Yes. the finance broker. I have a whole entire finance team here. Scott is a award-winning broker. He's 30 years experience. I went after him to get him to come and be part of the JDL finance team because it's this. I said this before and I repeat to you. Everybody knows a good broker. I'm not interested in a good broker. I want an excellent broker. And what is the difference? The excellent broker is going to get you out of debt. And that's where the integration process comes. So if you answered yes, the text message is coming to you now. If you say, yes, I would like to be called, I'd like to have a chat, I promise you this. I promise you this. We're not in the game of dilly-dallying. We're not here to muck around. We will hunt down the inefficiencies. And I want you to know this. People are always making the decisions with what they know. That's why we stand on education. That's why I wrote the book, Is Your Accountant an Idiot? It's not a statement, it's a question. The truth is, the biggest complaint we have from clients is this: why didn't my accountant tell me this? Perhaps you never said to your accountant, I want to get ahead. It's implied, right? Well, there's a misalignment. So the reason why we wrote the book is so you can have better conversations. Now, if you have access to the software, there's nowhere for anyone to hide. There is no hide. There's no not knowing. The numbers have no feelings, and I promise you, it will start working for you and not drag you. So when you come to do finance, yeah, we will get rid of the debt that is dragging you. I promise you that. Now, the final question, guys, and I get this on private chats all the time. People ask me, how many properties do I have? I have over 100 properties, right? I want you to be very clear on what I'm about to say to you. Not bad for a young boy from Brazil that couldn't speak a word of English, right? I want you to understand this. You cannot act on what you don't know. And for some of you, owning a property investment is over there. It's a concept like this, like that. Oh, I will look into it. We exist to get it done, done. If for a moment you sit here with us and you imagine we're trying to sell you a property investment, please do not become my client. Don't become my client. What we do is we buy the property investments for the doctors. We work closely with you. We teach you how to select. We teach you how to get the best loans from the bank, integrate, work closely with your accountant. So the whole idea of Medigrow is to help you, get this, to transit from being a young doctor to buying your own house, get rid of it, build your portfolio, and then, because Dev and I are the same age, right? And then what happens is this, the transition. When you go into retirement, it's not based on hour for dollars. It's during your career, during your life, you have enough assets so that you can retire or choose to work as much as you want to, where your income is not compromised. Again, I want you to know, it is the story, and just as I finish, I want you to know it's more, and Dev made an incredible point. We see it all the time. The doctors that come in and they have had great income. What I get really, really impressed, but not in a very positive way, is how many doctors are showing up in their late 40s and their early 50s and they still have a mortgage. Do you know why? Because they were not strategic about it. That has to end. That ends. And there's a great percentage of doctors that paid their house off and that's it. They could have had 3, 4, 5, 6 property investments and they didn't. The question is why? Now my team is just giving me now the let's wrap it up. Let's do this. Dev, once again, brother, thank you so much for you coming in. It is so good to see your smile and being part of the journey. I have learned a lot from you, from your commentaries, perspectives along the way to help doctors to understand. And it's so good when you pop in, we can see you coming through the presentation. Guys, We've been here for 30 years. This is a business that will be here for another 30 years. It is an honor to be of service to you this morning. I would love if you could follow me on Instagram. Go to Medigrow in Instagram and follow us up. There is nothing I haven't seen. If you are coming upon retirement right now and you want to retire, we want to hear from you. If you just graduated and started to earn money, there is nothing in the journey we haven't seen. So my name is Julio De Lafitte, and I am playing to raise the financial intelligence of Australia. Thank you so much for coming in, and I will see you on the other side. Thank you, guys. Have a great weekend.